Welcome back to Houston Life. As the world remembers the life of President Jimmy Carter, Houstonian Greg Audel knew exactly what kind of man he was, because when Greg was just a sixth grader in Friendswood, he felt hopeless. It was after his parents' divorce.
Yeah, but he thought if anyone could help him get through it, it's the President of the United States, of course. So after months of trying to contact then President Carter, it was one phone call that changed his life forever. Now Greg Audel is sharing the story of how one act of kindness can create a lasting impact. And Greg joins us now in studio. Greg, it's so nice to see you. I've known you for many, many years. You hosted a radio show on KPFT for a long time. You kind of do a little bit of everything, and you have a fascinating story. I was unaware of your connection with President Carter. Describe to us what you remember about that time. My parents were divorced. Tessa's parents were divorced. I know a lot of our viewers can relate to this. It's a challenging time for any young person.
I mean, I've never heard of a smooth divorce. That's just not the nature of the beast. And when you're 13 years old, it's a turmoil. And unfortunately, you know, my father had a particularly difficult time, and I just knew I needed the influence of a good man in my life, but I didn't know any. So I called the White House and I explained the president needed to be my friend, and I was really rather surprised that they didn't put him on the phone. And I thought, well, this is going to be a challenge. And so I took up the challenge.
So tell me, where did you get the number? How did you go about finding your connection? There was
202-456-1414. The White House number's listed.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, was it in a phone book? How did you get? I mean, I'm invested.
Before Google, you could call the Houston librarians, the reference librarians, and get 2 questions a day. So I called every single day and had my questions laid out. They all knew me. And yeah, that was pre-Google.
That was your Google.
Really a very precocious young man.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
And I think it is in your mind as a young person, you were surprised, as you said, that the president didn't just get on the phone.
Yeah.
How many times did you have to continue calling the White House? And how did it happen the day that he ultimately called you back?
Well, it took hundreds of calls, but it wasn't just to the White House. It was to members of the Carter family, members of the press, people who worked in the White House. I just didn't stop. And then one day, the White House sent me a picture of the Carter family, and there was this beautiful older woman in the picture. She was like 26, 27. Her name was Annette Carter, and she was the president's daughter-in-law who lived in the White House. So I called 202-456, you know, and I asked for her, and they didn't put her on the phone either. But they did give me her office number. She called me back. She was wonderful, and she said, well, if Jimmy comes to dinner tonight, that blew my mind. If Jimmy comes to dinner tonight, she goes, I'll give him, you know, your address for an autographed picture. Well, I had a stack of autographed pictures. I didn't care about that. I said, well, that'd be great, but please put my phone number on it as well. And she goes, well, I promise you have to understand, he won't be able to call you. I said, that's fine. It was like 6 months later, I was babysitting in my church one night, and lots of people knew I was trying to reach him, so I'd had crank calls. So someone came in and they said, Greg, it's the White House on the phone. Well, I knew it was a prank call. So I picked up the phone. I said, what? And this woman said, wow. I was 13. Mr. Greg Audel, please. This is he. Oh, in that case, this is the White House operator. Please hold for the President of the United States. And it took a couple of minutes, and we were screaming and freaking out, and the minister came over from the next room. He's like, y'all got to keep it down. We're like, it's the president on the phone. He's like, yeah, y'all keep it down.
Right, right. Like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, and when President Carter came on the phone, he said, well, Greg, this is President Carter, and I understand from many people that you've been needing to speak to me. How can I help you? And I was obsessed with him and his administration, so I started talking about, I said, you know, I think you're a great president. And what I admired was, instead of saying thank you, he said, well, why do you think I'm a great president?
Right.
And it made me list all the reasons. And I think he may have been surprised at what I knew at 13. And he said, well, next time I come to Houston, we need to meet. And so we did. That was at the Hyatt Regency during a campaign stop. And then I was able to meet with him most every time he came to Houston after that.
Oh my gosh. Wow. This to me is a story of persistence and perseverance, because when you were calling him, I didn't, so you got phone calls, you got the runaround probably so many times. Why didn't you just stop? Like, what made you keep going?
Because he hadn't called yet. I mean,
Because had a goal, had to get to that goal.
Exactly.
There are so many things, Greg. I wish we had an hour to chat with you. Ultimately, what is your message? I mean, what is your takeaway? Having this connection, you mentioned that your father was really not a father figure for you and that the president sort of filled that void. How did that redirect your path in life?
Because the day he called, I knew the President of the United States cared about me. And whether that was exaggerated in my 13-year-old mind, that doesn't really matter. From then on, no matter what came my way, the president mattered. And the day he got renominated for the Democratic nomination, I called his daughter-in-law the next day, and she said, well, Jimmy told me you'd be calling.
Wow.
You know, and just that little bit of connection that I was on his mind. And one time when they were in Houston, I had the number to his hotel room, and Mrs. Carter picked up, and she said, Jimmy, she goes, it's your young friend. And that just blew my mind that he would know who that was by that description.
And considered you a friend.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me.
Wow.
And then later, in 1991, when he was here for a peace ceremony at the Rothko Chapel, I was about to ride in his car with him from his hotel. And he goes, oh, there's a friend I want to introduce you to. And I turn around, I'm nose to nose with Nelson Mandela.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, Nelson, he goes, Greg Audel is a very young man, but he's a very old friend of mine from the White House days. You know, it's special.
How
Very
incredible.
special.
And to give you just a glimmer of hope that there's someone, a mentor out there who cares about you. We have 1 minute left. I really want to chat about the show that you have coming up at the River Oaks Theater. This is happening Wednesday, January 22nd. Greg Audel is calling again. There you are on screen right there. What's the show all about, Greg?
The show is, once I realized I could get to know the president, I realized I could get to know anyone I wanted to. So from 13 to 15, I didn't go to school much. I spent all my time calling celebrities, world leaders, anyone I wanted to get to know. And this story is about those adventures and some of the people I got to know, like the Bushes. And I had a wonderful interview with Barbara Bush a few weeks after she was elected second lady. And that was interesting to hear her life going from a normal person to being followed around by guns and having the Christmas gifts she buys in the newspaper. They were very kind to me.
And that kindness really stuck with you. You really want to tell people to, hey, if you see someone, you see a kid, be a mentor, always reach out.
If the President of the United States and a future First Lady have time to stop everything they're doing to be kind to a kid, not one of us has an excuse for not being kind to a kid, whether we know him or not. You can buy a school lunch. You can take a kid who's going through a hard time, take them to a ball game. They will remember that the rest of their life, and it'll be one afternoon out of your life.
We really could chat forever, but we have to
could.
leave it there. That's a great note to leave it at, just because you're right.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being a friend of Houston Life. And please go on out and see the show. If you would like to attend Greg's show on the 22nd at the River Oaks Theater, we have linked everything you need to know. Just visit our website, HoustonLife.tv, and look for that scene on Houston Life section.